Replaceable blade utility knives are very convenient because as soon as your edge gets dull, you can simply pop in a new blade and have a fresh edge. But which one is best for everyday carry? Let's find out. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson coming at you from the KnifeCenter. That's Thomas behind the camera. As always, welcome to this shootout of 14 different popular EDC replaceable blade utility knives. Bit of a mouthful, but here we go. I got 14 as mentioned right here, and we're going to evaluate them on up to 9 different categories. We're going to be looking at fit and finish, ease of carry, usability, ergonomics, safety, ease of deployment, ease of blade changes, and extra features. And in case we need a tiebreaker, we'll look at fidget friendliness as well. Here we go. You like our high-tech board we got right here? It's just so Thomas doesn't have to animate all of this. But we're going to go through each category, award points, and it's possible to gain or lose a point on each category. So let's talk about fit and finish first of all. This should be a pretty easy point for everyone involved. We're going to start from least expensive to most expensive, the Outdoor Edge slide winder, coming in at about 13 bucks. And you got injection molded front, steel back. Everything feels perfectly fine. It can maybe be a little more crisp on some of the extra features here instead of rounded off, but easy point right there. Also from Outdoor Edge, we've got the UtiliPro, a frame locking utility blade holder, and the same thing applies here to the slide winder. We've got stainless steel on the back, injection molded front, everything is just fine. Next up at about $17, we've got the Olight, O-Knife, O-Tackle utility knife. We've got stainless steel back, G10 on the front in a few different flavors. This is just the cheese flavored version, and everything here is really good. Next up, we've got kind of the OG of the EDC utility knife genre, the Gerber Exchange Blade. This is the EAB Lite, one of the newer refined versions at about 17 bucks. And surprisingly, I'm not going to be able to award a point here because check this out. You can see the layers used to stack up this handle. They're not exactly 90 degrees the way they should be. The angles are a little off, and in fact, the tip of the razor blade right here is touching the frame. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to deduct a point for the fit and finish on the EAB Lite. Gerber hasn't rested on their laurels, however. We have the Prybrid series from them, newly introduced with a pocket clip. And fit and finish here, I'm very happy with everything we're seeing on this knife. And this guy comes in at about $25, whether you get the pocket clipped or the non-pocket clipped version. Next, we've got the Olight O-Knife Optical U1, coming in at about $25 as well, $24.99. We've got G10 handles with a carbon fiber laminate and a crossbar lock, which is pretty cool. Everything here is also very good. And just for brevity's sake, everything else on the table is going to get a point for fit and finish, but let me run through the contenders to tell you what else we're looking at here. We've got the Civivi Elementum utility knife, slightly smaller than the standard Elementum, coming in at $42.50 with aluminum handles and a button lock. We've got the Boker Plus Cut Weasel coming in at 48 bucks and some change. Stainless steel handles, G10 blade carriage, and manual out the front action. We've got the Olight O-Knife Optical Pro with a titanium frame and an extendable blade coming in at $49.99 right now. We've got the CJRB Breeze, another out the front manual, coming in at about $53 and some change for the stainless steel versions, just under 70 bucks for titanium and aluminum combination versions. The James brand Palmer comes in at $59 with anodized aluminum frames and manual out the front action. Last but not least, we've got 3 from Big Eye Design coming in at 69 bucks. We've got the TPT, the titanium pocket tool, a slim titanium pocket tool with manually retracting action like so. At 80 bucks, we've got the TPT Slide, which adds a pocket clip as well as an easier to retract and extend blade mechanism. And finally, Big Eye Design's Tie Utility Frame Lock Flipper coming in at $175. It's a titanium frame lock flipper that just happens to house a utility blade holder. Points all around, except for the EAB Lite. All right, let's see if we can open up some distance between some of these competitors. Ease of carry. Slide winder from Outdoor Edge comes with a very handy pocket clip, which is nice. The Outdoor Edge Utila Pro also comes with a pocket clip. It is starting to get a little bit bulky in the width when it is carried as such, but I'm still gonna go ahead and give it the point here. Now, the Auticle from Olight. It is pretty thin, but we don't have a pocket clip here, so it would just have to live free in your pockets, and it's a little pokey and jabby for that sort of thing, and I think a little too pokey and jabby for a fifth pocket carry, even if it were big enough to fit this knife, which it is on the larger side. I'm gonna take a point back from the Auticle. The Gerber EAB Lite is easy to carry. You've got an excellent money clip style pocket clip, which allows you to use it as a pocket clip or as a money clip, and it's also a great size and shape for fifth pocket carry too. Excellent and well-earned point right there. Now the Gerber Prybrid. You do have a pocket clip. It's kind of money clip thickness, but maybe not great for that sort of thing. I'm a little torn because it is going to, clip to your pocket quite easily, but the way this kind of pry bar here sticks out, I've carried this one a little bit, and it actually gets in the way pretty severely for me. It's kind of a split decision. You've got a plus and a minus all in one. Because of that, and your mileage may vary a little bit depending on how that works for you, I'm gonna give neutral score for this, 0 points for the Prybrid. The Auticle U1, we've got a deep carry pocket clip and fairly lightweight construction overall, which should make this very easy to carry. I am tempted to take away a little bit, or at least give a 0, because this is an ambidextrous lock and we don't have an ambidextrous clip. But as everything here with a pocket clip, with the exception of one, is right-handed, it's not gonna be necessarily a difference maker, although maybe it'll come back at the tiebreaker round. But as such, the U1 gets a point. The Elementum utility knife does have a deep carry pocket clip. It is reversible, which is great because that button lock is easily used from the left hand too. So a very easy point right there. The Cut Weasel has a money clip style clip here and is getting to the size where that could even be fifth pocket carried as well, especially if you remove that pocket clip. So definite point. The CJRB Breeze presents a little bit of a split decision here for me. We have no pocket clip, so your options are in pocket or fifth pocket carry. The shape is just about right for fifth pocket carry. It will work. I've done so myself with one of these. The edges are beveled and smooth, so nothing jabby or pokey. So it's gonna be okay in the pocket as well. But compared to the competition, since this is a competition, I'm gonna go ahead and leave that at a 0 as opposed to a net positive, because you've got one good option to carry it, but it's probably not gonna be the way most people wanna carry it. Not quite enough to be a negative though, 0 points. Now the James Rand Palmer is almost the same story. It's a little bit bigger than the Breeze and it's a little bit too big for fifth pocket carry, so your only option is in pocket carry. You could add an additional clip onto the lanyard here if you wanted to. There are options, but out of the box, I think that with that single way to carry it, even though it's not jagged and is gonna be a little more kind in your pocket, I think I'm gonna take a point away from the Palmer right here, just because it's too big for fifth pocket carry. That's why the CJRB got to keep its point instead of losing one. The Titanium Pocket Tool is super slim, very easily fifth pocket carried, even though there is no pocket clip. A little too jagged, I would say, or more jagged than I would want floating around in my pocket. So to aid with that, they do supply this with a leather pocket slip, and it has space for an extra blade as well. So like the CJRB, even though we don't have a pocket clip, in pocket and fifth pocket carry are possible, so no loss or gain of points. The TPT Slide does have a pocket clip, so it's easily carried as a pocket clipped device in the fifth pocket, and it comes with that same pocket slip as well, so the gain of a point right here. And lastly, for ease of carry, the Thai utility knife, it's easy to carry. Nice, smooth titanium, deep carry pocket clip, nothing to complain about there, earns a point. All right, next up, in helping you evaluate what is the best EDC utility knife for you, usable blade length, and we're gonna make it easy. If you can use about half of the blade, that's standard. You get 0 points. If you can use less than half, -1. If you can use more than half, +1. So Outdoor Edge Slide Winder, -1. Outdoor Edge Utility Pro, +1. O-Knife Auticle, just barely -1. EAB Light, +1. Now you do have a pretty chunky blade hole here at the top, which might get in the way of certain cuts, but by the rules we laid out, still gets a +1. The Gerber Pry Brid, you can see here at max extension, we've got about half the blade, so 0. Auticle U1, definite +1, as is the Civivi Element. The Boker Cut Weasel does extend fairly far, but we've still got only about half the blade. Even score, 0 points. The Auticle Pro gets you just a little bit more usable edge than the standard Auticle, allowing it to keep its score steady. The CJRB Breeze is just barely under half, so -1. I will say, however, due to the shape of the area right here, it does make it very easy to use all of that blade edge, but still -1. James Brand Palmer, yeah, -1. The Big Eye TPT, even at full extension, -1. Likewise, -1 for the TPT Slide, but +1 for the TIE Utility Knife. So here's the results after 3 rounds, definitely starting to look a little more interesting. In the lead so far, we've got everything from almost the least expensive to the most expensive, the Outdoor Edge Utila Pro, the Auticle U1, the Elementum Utility Knife, and the Big Eye TIE Utility Knife, all with 3 points so far. They have gotten a point in every single round. Ergonomics. Now this is definitely going to be subjective, so I'm only going to be able to tell you how they work for me and my slightly larger than average hands. The Outdoor Edge Slide Winder feels pretty decent in an average cutting grip. The pry bar / Phillips head screwdriver here on the top acts as a little bit of a thumb ramp, but everything feels nice. And even though it's on the stubbier side, thanks to the height of it, I can still feel like I'd be able to tackle a pretty big cut thanks to the size and shape of this knife. So +1. The Outdoor Edge Utila Pro, great ergos for me. I can get a solid 4-finger grip on this, no problem whatsoever. +1 point. The Auticle Utility Knife feels good. I like the thumb ramp here. I like the 3-finger grip. That's workable. Very nice, 1 point. The EAB Light feels pretty good. There's some slight sharpness, however, for me coming from that pocket clip right there on my middle finger. So if I'm really bearing down into a cut, that is going to cause some issues for me. We're going to take off a point. The Gerber Pry Brid actually feels very good in the hand. My pinky nestles into the bottle opener area here, but it's not a problem. Really full fisted grip on this blade, so you can get a lot of work done. And you can even increase your reach, even if you can't increase your usable edge. Get right behind it like that though. Definitely worthy of a point. The Auticle U1 gets about a 3-finger grip for me, which is enough to earn it a point, even though part of me wants to be able to choke up a little bit. And I suppose if I put my index finger right around the pivot area, I can get a full 4-fingered grip on that knife. Just be careful of the edge. I like the nimbleness, nimble feeling of this knife as well as you go to use it. No sharp edges to raise a hot spot, just quite nice. +1. The Civivi Elementum, while being shorter than the standard Elementum, does maintain a kind of elliptical shape, which means all kinds of hand sizes should have no problems with this. I get a 3-finger grip, feels quite nice, also nice and nimble. You do have an area up top where for me, it works as an index finger spot if I want to get some finer control. Ergonomically, I'd say that's a winner. And I can even get my, my index finger up there fairly comfortably, even though I am kind of close to the edge, but definitely 1 point. The Cut Weasel is small enough when you need it to be. You can even have smaller blade demarcations available. And especially when you extend it all the way out, it can be big when you need it to be too. Even though it looks like you're holding the edge, it is nested inside that G10, so definitely capable of a full grip on something that can fit in your coin pocket. +1 for ergos. The Auticle Pro feels good. It's like the standard Auticle, just a little bit more, +1. The CJRB Breeze, that same shape that lets it sit nicely in your 5th pocket, means you can really grip this thing hard without raising up a hot spot. You can get a solid grip on it, 3 fingers for me, not too slippery, definitely worthy of a point. The James Brand Palmer, same thing. Nice and neutral shape, solid, wide enough for a full grip, 3.5 fingers for me, easy point. Big Eye TPT, about a 3-finger grip for me, although the 4th finger can grab the fob, which is pretty nice. A little on the thin side, but I think it still feels pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a point. And the same thing is going to apply to the TPT slide. And the tie utility frame lock from Big Eye Design, definitely an easy point. You can get a real solid grip on this knife, even with big hands, even with wearing work gloves. This could be a serious contender for maybe the hardest working knife on the table today, yet still very EDC friendly. All right, at the end of round 4, the leaders have not changed. We've still got the UtiliPro from Outdoor Edge, the Autical U1 from Olight or O-Knife, the Elementum from Civivi, and the tie frame lock from Big Eye Design, all in the lead with 4 points. Perfect scores for them so far. All right, next up, we're gonna talk about the safety of all of these units. And there's gonna be 2 criteria on which these are judged, which can get them in the lead, gaining or losing points. You've got locking mechanism, which, you know what? All of them have. So everyone starts at a +1, but finger safety. How safe are these to operate when you're closing the knife specifically? Let's find out. Well, the Outdoor Edge slide winder does indeed lock open, and it's finger safe, so it gets its point. Outdoor Edge UtiliPro has the frame lock, which is very, very stable. Not finger safe closing action, however. Your fingers do have to cross the path of the blade when closing it. That's not a feature that's enough to lose a point in totality, but it's not gonna gain the point that it might have gotten, so hold steady at 0 for here. The Autical locks open and is finger safe, +1. The EAB light locks open, not finger safe closing action, however, 0 points. The Prybrid locks into position and is very finger safe to close, +1. The Autical U1 has that nice crossbar lock and is finger safe as well, like all the good crossbar locks are, +1 point. The Elementum locks open, and that button lock allows for finger safe closing action, so it is going to get a new point here as well. The Cut Weasel locks in several different positions and is very finger safe as well, +1 point. The Autical Pro is also going to get a point. The CJRB Breeze is also going to get a point, as is the James Brand Palmer. Let me move those things on the board before we move on to the Big Eye products. Now, the titanium pocket tool from Big Eye Design, in order to extend or retract the blade, you're actually holding the blade, which, depending on your finger sizes, and mine get a little bit bigger, is a little finicky. And yes, it does lock. Yes, it's technically finger safe in that your fingers don't cross the path of the blade edge. However, this does not feel finger safe to me. That direct manipulation of the blade, I am not a big fan of. Outside of blade change operations. I'm actually going to take away a point for the TPT. The TPT slide does not suffer from that same shortcoming, thanks to the slider mechanism at the top. Definitely an easy point earned right there. Which brings us to the tie frame lock. We've definitely got that strong locking operation from that frame lock. It is rock solid, not finger safe closing, however, so no movement on the board for the tie frame lock. All right. We've got 2 pulling ahead a little bit in the lead, the O-Knife U1 and the Elementum utility knife, both with perfect scores so far, 5 points. Now let's talk ease of deployment. After all, convenience, which is the name of the game with an EDC utility knife, has to be convenient to actually use, not just change your blades out. The slide winder. This one's a little bit tricky, honestly. Like, it should be easy. You've got push the orange button down and slide forward, but you have to have released the orange button for it to stay in the upward position. So it's a little bit of a knack to it, and I've found myself just kind of missing the deployment a few times, even though here on camera it's going just fine. I'm gonna go ahead because of that and leave that at a 0 points awarded for the slide winder. It's gonna maintain its position. Now, the UtiliPro, how about its ease of deployment? It's pretty easy. You got a set of thumb studs right there, opens up real nice. Now, it's not like fidget friendly. It's a little hard to flick effectively because of the size of it, at least for my hand size, but it is quite easy. Gonna go ahead and give it the point. The Autical utility knife, easy slider switch. No problems there. One thing I will note, however, check it out on the back. You actually have this locking tab, so you can lock that from opening. If this is a little loose, this could potentially move on its own, so you could go to pick up the knife and not actually be able to deploy it. Hasn't happened to me yet on this one, but because of the potential, I'm gonna leave it at 0 points gained or lost for this one. The Gerber EAB Lite, despite its lack of apparent thumb studs, is quite easy to open one-handed, easy to pinch with 2 fingers, and complete with your thumb. 1 point. The Gerber Prybrid, very easy deployment, no problems there, +1. Because these two are in the lead and the talking points are similar, let's talk about the U1 and the Elementum. Both super easy to deploy. You can do that wrist flick or use the thumb studs. Same thing with the Elementum. You can push the button, flick your wrist, or use the thumb studs, or use the flipper tab. All easy and all fun to use. Boker Cut Weasel, certainly easy enough. It's not the smoothest sliding, however. You can see there's a little bit of resistance here, and that might be because it could use a little lubrication, but the steel on G10 sliding action, it does introduce a little bit of friction. Not enough for me to take away a point, but enough for me to not gain them one either. Now the Autical Pro with its sliding switch here is easy to extend or retract, but I'm not going to give it a point here, and here's why. The blade change operation on this blade, or on this knife, if you slide a little too far forward, you get into that blade change position, which means that blade is loose. It's real easy to overshoot that. So not enough to deduct a point, but enough for it to stand pat. The CJRB Breeze, nice and easy. No track for that, or no smaller constricted track for that sliding switch to get caught in. So just easy, enjoyable in and out all day long. James Brand Palmer, same deal. Very easy with that top mounted switch, +1 point. Now the TPT, ease of deployment, you are doing that thing right there, manipulating it with your other hand, and it is a little finicky. I'm gonna go ahead and deduct another point here. I think that, the very nature of the way this thing works is gonna lose it some points, at least on the scale we're working with right here. TPT slide, just like the other top mounted sliders, nothing wrong with that at all, super easy, +1 point. And the tie frame lock, doesn't get much easier than a full-size flipper like this, +1 point. All right, at the end of 6 rounds, we've still got, with 6 points each, perfect scores. The U1 from Olight, and the Elementum from Civivi. Close second, we've got the Outdoor Edge UtiliPro at 5 and the Big Eye tie frame lock, also with 5 points. Next round, ease of blade change. Let's do it. Outdoor Edge slide winder, easy. You saw it right there. Was it too fast? I'll do it again. In the open position, simply press back down on that orange button and you can remove the blade. We'll retract the handle. You gotta push it back into the forward position. Place your blade back in, button down, while holding the button forward to reseat the blade, and away you go. As you can see, a little bit fiddly despite having an easy button change operation. Is it enough to lose it a point? The answer is yes, it's a little fiddly. We're gonna deduct a point. The Outdoor Edge UtiliPro. Let's see. Simply lift up on this little tab right here. Blade comes out quite easily. Set it back in the holder and reverse the process to reseat the blade. 1 point, very nice. Now the Autical utility knife. Few things here that are gonna mean it loses a point on blade change. One, you have to unscrew this piece from the back, which means the sliding switch on the front is going to come out, so you've got pieces no longer attached to the blade or to the handle. That enough right there, as far as I'm concerned, is enough to deduct a point. Furthermore, not that we need it, this doesn't use a standard utility knife blade. It uses the type that has holes milled in the center of the blade, which, while common enough on the internet, are a lot harder to find on a store shelf. And for that reason as well, we take a point away there. Now, the Gerber EAB Lite also has to have a piece come off of the knife to change the blade. You've got a flathead screw right here, so you not only have a piece that comes off, you also have to have another tool to get the job done. Both causes to deduct 1 point. Gerber pry braid. Extend the blade all the way out. Push this tab forward with your fingernail or whatever you want. Remove the blade. Same thing in reverse. Easy enough, plus 1 point. Article U1 has this little thumb wheel right here. Simply push that forward a little bit, and it's captive, so it's not going to fall out. You can slide the blade out, slide a new one in, no problem. Push that wheel, or sorry, pull the wheel back with your thumb, and away you go. Plus 1 point. Now the Elementum has a similar screw type arrangement here at the top, but the one thing where the article pulls away is on the Elementum, you actually need a second tool. You need a T8 driver to loosen that nut or loosen that little screw right there. You don't have to take it all the way out, just loosen it to free the blade and you go back in. But because of the fact that you need a secondary tool to get the job done, minus 1 point. Now the cut weasel looks like it'll be a little finicky, but check it out. Extend it all the way, grip the top of the blade, push the top out, and then you can slide just like so. And installing a blade is real easy. It's kind of just a push in and it'll snap into place. I'd say that's easy enough, 1 point. The Article Pro, as mentioned earlier, just slide the button all the way forward. The blade slides right out and very easy to go back in, pull it back, almost as easy as it gets for that knife right there, plus 1 point. Next up, the CJRB Breeze suffers the same kind of flaw that the Article has, at least in the terms of our scoring rubric here. Unscrew the back tab, which then means your button and this back tab, whatever you want to call it, are free from the knife handle and could get lost. And likewise, you've got the center drilled blade style as opposed to the more standard variety. Sorry to say, minus 1 point for the Breeze. Now the James Brown Palmer, like the Article Pro, is about as easy as it gets. There's actually 3 positions for this slider. If I go to the center position, you can see the button pops up. You've got the little red mark to indicate you're in the blade change position. Blade slides right out and right back in, ready to rock. 1 point. Now the Big Eye Titanium Pocket Tool, blade change is actually pretty simple here. Simply push out on this tab when you're in the open position. Blade slides out. Same thing in reverse to reinstall the blade. Away you go, plus 1 point. Now the TPT slide, despite having advantages over the TPT standard non-slide version in other areas, the blade change here, even though this is mine, I paid my own money for this, I don't like the blade change very much. The motion is a little tricky. You have to extend the blade, grip it from both the top and close to the edge, if this were the actual an actual blade in the device at the moment. Twist that with the spine pushing forward, push the slide sort of at an opposite angle back towards the back of the knife, wedge it into that open position like so, where it's kind of splayed out, and then you can remove the blade. It's a little nerve-wracking until you get used to it, and even once I've gotten used to it, I'm not a big fan of it. Easy enough once it's ready to go back in, but that requires a lot of force pushed in some directions. I'm not a fan of the potential to slip onto that edge, even though I like this device and it is mine, minus 1 point. Now the Big Eye Tie Frame Lock operates on the same principle as the Titanium Pocket Tool. Push this tab backwards and pull the blade out, and the same thing in reverse, so plus 1 point. All right, with one standard category left, we do have a definitive leader. The Article U1 with 7 points. Interestingly, it gained a point and the Elementum lost a point last turn. So even though they were neck and neck the whole time, we've now got a difference of 2 between them. Coming in second place with 6 points, we're tied. The Utila Pro and the Tie Frame Lock. Really cool to see such a widespread across the price ranges up there, both doing very well. Now, the last standard category, we're going with extra features. What does it do besides cut? You can't lose a point here because, you know, what does a utility knife have to do? It has to be a utility knife. But since we're talking about what these bring to the EDC table, extra features are going to be an extra feature worth awarding a point for. Let's check out the slide winder. We've got 3 extra features here. We've got a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a bottle opener, +1 point. The Outdoor Edge UtiliPro does also have almost the same extra features. You've got flathead screwdriver. On both of these, that can be used as a little bit of a pry tool. You've got a Phillips screwdriver. You've got a line cutter cut out in the handle. And if you remove the blade, you got a bottle opener too, +1 point. The O-Knife Auticle, you've got a bottle opener jaw here at the front. You've got a flathead / pry tool at the back and a 1/4 inch hex driver, +1 point there. Gerber EAB Light is just a knife, no movement on the score there. Gerber Prybrid does have more going on. You've got a pry at the end, hence the name Prybrid, which gives you, in this case, because it's split, you also have a nail puller in addition to the pry tool. You've got 2 different flathead sizes as well. So that's 4 things right here, plus a cap lifter, plus a line cutter notch in the handle. Definitely worthy of its extra point. Now the Auticle U1 is just a knife. No extra features here, which means it doesn't make it to a perfect score through the whole thing, but it came darn close. 0 points on the Auticle, but hey, there you go. Still tied for first at the moment. Elementum, same deal here. No extra features, just a knife, albeit a good one, 0 points. Boker Cut Weasel, no extra features unless you count it as a money clip. That is technically an extra feature, although the EAB Light, I didn't award it a point there. Should I? Thomas, what do you think?
Nah.
Nah? All right.
It's already a pocket clip.
No extra points for the money clip style pocket clip for either of these knives, 0 points for the Cut Weasel. The Auticle Pro, yep, you got some extra features. You've got the bottle opener, you've got the pry tool flathead. You don't have the hex driver like you do on the non-Pro Auticle, but you do have a safety switch here, which will keep that blade from sliding forward. Not really an extra feature in terms of adding utility, but it is something else anyway. But it's got extra features, +1 point. The CJRB Breeze does have some extra functions. You've got, for one thing, a cap lifter, flat on the back side of the handle here, and you have a dual-sized wrench. That's not a hex bit driver there, but it is the M6 and M8 hex driver. So you got the 2 little wrench sizes, but definitely enough to earn an extra point. The James Brand Palmer is just a knife, so no movement on the score there. Now the Big Eye TPT, the slide and non-slide version, both definitely have some extra features worth talking about. Let me take the blade out to show you one. We've got in the jaws here a bottle opener. Let me come back to that here in a second. On the back, you've got a pry tool with the extended tang there and a hex bit driver. And the most interesting thing, as far as I'm concerned, are these teeth inside the jaws here. It's actually made to function as a universal wrench. Anything that you can slide into those jaws with that jimping, for lack of a better word. It's not the right word, but you get what I'm getting at, I hope, is enough to grab on to some bolts. Great thing for adding a little bit of extra utility without literally taking up any extra room. Very cool. So +1 point for the TPT and the TPT slide. And for the Big Eye tie frame lock, similar jaws to the slide or the TPT series. You don't get the universal wrench, but you do get a bottle opener, and that's just enough to make it a multi-tool, which means it has extra features, +1 point. So at the end of our 8 rounds of standard scoring, we have a 3-way tie for first place. We've got the Outdoor Edge UtiliPro, the second least expensive item on the list today at just under 15 bucks, 7 points. The Auticle U1, also at 7 points, coming in at $25, $24.99 right now. Nice. And the most expensive and most premium on the list, the tie frame lock, utility frame lock from Big Eye Design at $175, also with 7 points. Second place with 6, you've got the Gerber Prybrid and the Outdoor Edge UtiliPro at about 25 and 50 bucks respectively. Very cool to see those things at the affordable price range, bringing so much to the table. And we'll leave the full rankings here, but I mentioned fidget friendliness if we had a tiebreaker. So let's see. Let's evaluate. The Outdoor Edge. you'd think might be fidget friendly, but I don't think it is. In order to get like that fidgety, fun flick, you have to be very precise with your grip, and with the kind of slickness of the handle, of the stainless steel handle, which under any other circumstance hasn't made a difference. You've got enough grip otherwise, but during that thing, you kind of lose that fidget friendliness. Not as much going on. So if it had to be a tiebreaker, that's the tiebreaker right there. Which means we have 2 to take the extra special bonus points first prize, the Autical. How fidget friendly is a crossbar lock? I mean, seriously, definitely worthy right there. Flippers are pretty addictive too, pretty fun to fidget with. Maybe not quite as much, but hey, that's me personally. I don't even think the fidget friendliness can break this tie. If you don't care about fidget friendliness, there are 3 options all the way across the price range that I think score very well, and I would have no problem recommending at all. Check them out, whether you want something fidget friendly and EDC-like, whether you want something that's still EDC friendly but feels like a little more of a tool, especially considering it's something you could really use without caring if you beat it up too much because it's only 15 bucks, or you want that true premium utility knife or a premium EDC frame lock flipper vibe. All of those are fantastic. Check them out. Full results here on the screen. Let me know what you thought of this format going forward. Let me know which one of these you would buy. Leave it in the comments below, and if you want to get your hands on any of these, check out the links in the description to take you to KnifeCenter.com. And don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because the least thing we can do when you buy one of our knives today is give you some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.